Welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. Come on into the conversation. I am multicasting on several platforms. You might be watching on YouTube or Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook. On whatever platform you're watching, I want to thank you and welcome you to the conversation. If you are one of my subscribers, thank you for the support. And if you are new to the conversation, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you will be the first to know. Now, if you want to know what's important to a group of people, all you have to do is look at how they spend their time and where they spend their money. In its 163-year existence, members of the Tennessee State Legislature never thought it was important to expel its members for being affiliated with the white supremacist group, the Ku Klux Klan. The KKK got its start in Pulaski, Tennessee in 1865. Some of those KKK members were Tennessee state lawmakers. Maybe that's why the state legislature never, in its 163-year history, ever passed a law condemning lynchings or racially motivated hate crimes, because some of those lawmakers secretly, allegedly condoned such hate crimes. In fact, a lawmaker in March of 2023, just last month, suggested that lynchings be added to an option in the new state death penalty legislation. In its 163-year history, the Tennessee State Legislature has never passed a law to restrict the use of firearms or to require tougher guidelines for wannabe gun owners. Now, after the latest shooting, the school shooting that happened 2 weeks ago in March 2023 in Nashville, outside of Nashville, and it left 6 people, including 3 children, dead, it was business as usual at the State House in Nashville. The mostly Republican legislators offered plenty of lip service, but no life-saving laws or initiatives. For the last 163 years, they never have cared about the most vulnerable in their communities, and they probably never will. They're supposed to be the example of what's right, but instead they are the example of what's wrong in our American society. So when 3 Democrats, 2 black men, and a white woman, all new state representatives, led a protest on the assembly floor in demand of changes in gun laws in Tennessee, Republicans voted to kick out the 2 black men, but they voted to let the white woman stay. Now, it doesn't get more blatantly racist than that. We know it and they know it. They DGAF so much that they don't even try to hide it anymore. Now, let's take a look at who these people are, and you probably have seen them. It's been on all of the news sources. This is Representative Justin Pearson, the far one in the suit, the black coat. He's from District 86 in Shelby County, that's outside of Memphis. Representative Justin Jones is from District 52, that's in Antioch, it's a suburb of Nashville. And those 2 guys were purged while Representative Gloria Johnson of District 13 in Knox County outside of Knoxville was allowed to stay. I actually grew up in Knoxville. I'm from Tennessee. Even though Gloria Johnson, that representative, she knew what was up. So when they asked her, why did she think that the 2 black guys got purged and she didn't get purged, she admitted because it was the color of her skin. So one of the Republicans who voted to purge the 2 black guys admitted that it wasn't even about them breaking any rules by staging a protest. It was because the 2 black guys, he said, were so loud and proud. He didn't use those exact words, but he said, well, they were using a megaphone and they were just too adamant about what they were saying. But he said, but the white woman, he said, the Representative Johnson, she didn't use a megaphone. So did they break the rules, or they didn't break the rules? Like, so a megaphone makes a difference. They continue to come up with stuff that doesn't even make any sense. It just makes no sense. And they, even as it's coming out of their mouth, they know it doesn't make any sense. Ain't nothing changed but the date on the calendar. They are proving that you can't legislate what's in a person's heart, because some of these people pass down racism like it's a family heirloom. If you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. So this is the same supermajority Republican General Assembly that admitted that it shorted Tennessee State University, my alma mater, by at least $500 million in land grant funds since the university opened 111 years ago. Now, just in case you're unfamiliar with what a land grant university is and why the state of Tennessee is required to send money to support its operating budget, essentially, when slaves were freed, slaves and the descendants of slaves, they wanted to get formal education. And so the Ivy League colleges, and the predominantly at that time, all the colleges were white colleges, and the Ivy League colleges, they didn't want freed slaves showing up at their colleges. They don't want the descendants of freed slaves showing up at their colleges to go to school. So they said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a plot of land. We're going to grant you some land grant university. That's how you get the HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. That's how that happened. In exchange for us giving you your plot of land to build your university, HBCUs, we're also going to give you a certain amount of money every year in your operating budget to help y'all get along, which that's the least they could do, because they owed us that. Okay. And they probably stole the land from the Native Americans, but that's a whole nother story, because we know how they do. So at any rate, they were supposed to give a certain amount of money to land grant universities, in this case, Tennessee State University in Nashville. And that came to, and I'm just doing the math because let's say it's been over $500 million over the course of 111 years. So I did the math earlier. I divided 500 million by 111 years, the amount of time Tennessee State has been in existence. And I think that came out to $4.5 million a year that the state of Tennessee was supposed to give to Tennessee State University for its operating budget. But they either didn't give the money or didn't give all that they were supposed to give. So the predominantly white universities in Tennessee, they got all their money, but TSU didn't get theirs. Now, I'm not sure what happened year after year and why we are just hearing about this in the past, let's say 10 years. It's become the topic of conversation amongst Tennesseans and graduates of TSU, because here's what's happening. Despite all of this, students are continuing to flock to TSU to get educated. When I matriculated there, I thought that when I showed up for my freshman year, it was just going to be people from around Tennessee. My mother went to TSU as well, which is why I went to TSU. And I thought, okay, it's just going to be a bunch of people from all over Tennessee coming to TSU. No, there were people from Alaska. There were people from Washington. There were people from Illinois, from Michigan. All over the country, people were flocking to Tennessee State. I met some of my best friends and people I still keep in contact with today. And just the experience was like no other. So it was something that I'm glad that I made that decision and that my family made the decision for me to attend TSU. And so I'm saying that to say, people, it's a generational pull that brings you to TSU, as well as if you never had anybody to go to college, you might end up at TSU because they have a great program. They've got an award-winning band. The track team is known around the world, and it's just an awesome university. And so now, as time goes on, they need to do renovations. They need to build more dormitories. They need to upgrade their facilities and tech facilities to keep up with what's going on and the changes in this country, in the world. In other words, they need their money. Okay. And so, why is it that we as Black people, and Tennessee State in particular, have to go and keep asking and always be behind the eight ball when we were promised 40 acres and a mule? We promised y'all we're going to give y'all certain amount of education. We're going to give y'all the land that you deserve, that you helped to develop. And now here we are 100 years later, 500 years later, and we still have not gotten what was promised to us. And so when you look at that, it's the same people, the same way we are generationally doing things and being led to make decisions. Some people, like I said, hand down racism like a family heirloom. They are continuing to uphold the racial divide in our country and in Tennessee. And that is what we're dealing with when you look at the legislators. You would think that they would be the people who would be making be the example of what should be done and how people should be treated. But this stuff that went on last week is an example of why we have such an issue all over the country, because people might tell you they don't see color. Oh, I don't see color. The hell you don't. You see color, because there's no way you could have said, oh, these three Democrats did something wrong. They didn't follow protocol. And then you expel the two Black guys and the white woman, you let her stay. That's clearly you see color, okay? Before you see party. And so if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. So who are these people? Because they see color when they look at us, we're going to see their face when we look at them. Who is the person who drafted the legislation to expel the three representatives? His name is Andrew Farmer. And I'm about to show you, I'm going to share my screen so we can look at who Andrew Farmer is. This is Andrew Farmer. He is he's a representative out of Sevierville, Tennessee. Sevierville, that's outside of Knoxville. That's going up towards the mountains. Sevierville is. So now look at what he put as his affiliation. He's a member of the First Baptist Church of Sevierville, Tennessee. He just as crooked as he can be. And if I was his pastor, I would have done called him to the carpet on. You don't be putting us up there as your affiliation, and you can't even treat people fairly. You are just as racist as you want to be. And then, of course, the next one is the NRA. Look at, I don't know if you can see that, you're going to have to zoom in, but he has that his affiliation is with the NRA. I'm trying to pull it up. I got so many things pulled up. So not the NRA. Yeah, the NRA, National Rifle Association. And so this is why these people can't make um, conscientious decisions that are for the betterment of the people who they're sworn to represent in the state house. It's because they're so busy kissing ass of the NRA and probably getting money from the NRA to not make a decision, even though these they could make a decision and help protect children, help protect people, just make some laws to help people when they try to go and get a rifle or get a gun or weapon. Make it so they have to at least go through some type of background check, more than what they've been allowed to do, because apparently there's something going on. There's something wrong with the way it's done. And so, Andrew Farmer, he is the representative who drafted the legislation to expel the three representatives. Now, expulsion is the most severe sanction that they have on the books. They could have just taken these Democrats off of their committee assignments, or they could have suspended them for a week or a couple of days. The expulsion is the most harsh penalty punishment that they could have dished out. So they went from 0 to 100 on these three people. And turns out, oh, well, the white woman, she didn't do that bad. But the two black dudes, even though they all did the same thing. Okay. Now, how do we know what they did and didn't do? Because somebody took video of their protests on the assembly floor. They joined some protesters who had shown up at the state house to protest that they wanted some gun law changes to happen. And these Democrats, instead of just going along to get along, they said, you know what, we too think there should be some changes. And so somebody took the video. But here's the thing. They have a rule at the state assembly in Tennessee, in Nashville, that says you can't record anything on the floor of the assembly. And so the person who recorded it has not been brought up, has not been held accountable for making that recording. And so they're probably a white person, I'm just going to put it out there, who recorded it. Because if they had it's probably a Republican white person. Okay. And so the expulsion, again, is the most severe sanction, and it has only happened twice before these two guys got expelled. It only happened twice in Tennessee history, and that was the two people who committed crimes. Okay. And I talked with my mother, and I think one of the people who committed the crime, it was like selling cigarettes that wasn't in a store or something like that, some like minor infraction, and they kicked him out. And so at any rate, this vote, the vote to expel the two representatives, is a slap in the face to the 200,000 voters who sent these two representatives to Nashville to represent them. So who voted to purge these two black men but kept the white woman? Let's look at who purged these two women. I'm sorry, these two guys. So I'm about to bring up just a account of who voted to purge, to expel, to kick out of the Tennessee State House these two black representatives, and all the while voted to keep the white woman, even though they claimed it was because they brought them up on to come before the to be voted on, because they said they all did the same thing. So if you know anybody in Tennessee who lives in any of these areas that I'm about to show you, then be sure to call these people and ask them, what do they plan to do to hold their representatives accountable. All right. So now here's how it really is. Essentially, there's like about 100 representatives in the state house of Tennessee, and Justin Jones was the first one to come up for expulsion, and the vote was 72 votes for expulsion and 25 votes to not expel him. So all of these, if you're looking right here, all of those are R's for Republican, and Jonesboro, Dixon, Lebanon. Those are the different districts that I just want to make sure that you're seeing this. Yeah, those are the different districts that the people represent. So if you know anybody from these areas, be sure to call them and ask them, do they agree with what their representative did? If you know anybody in Tennessee, I know I'm making some phone calls myself. So all these people, Republicans, voted to expel Justin Jones. Justin Jones is the representative out of Antioch. All of these people, 72 of them, I think it said. Okay, now there was one representative, Charlie Baum of Murfreesboro, who's a Republican, who voted no. So he voted along with all the Democrats to not expel Representative Jones. Okay, now let's go to the next vote. Then the next vote was for they voted on Gloria Johnson. So 65 voted to expel her and 30 voted not to expel her. She was one vote short of getting expelled. Now I'm gonna show you something in a minute, but all these people voted, all the Republicans voted to expel her. Now, I will say this. If you're going to be crooked and you're going to be racist and you're going to be prejudiced, and let's be consistent. They are consistently being assholes, basically, wanting to kick people out because they protested, because they didn't go by protocol. Now, if you're gonna be that way, then be consistent. At least they consistent, okay? These people voted no. So you came Republican from Murfreesboro who voted no to not expel her. But you also, Jody Barrett, and I'm gonna show you Jody Barrett in a minute. That's a guy representative out of Dixon who voted no. Now he voted yes to expel the Representative Johnson out of Nashville. But when it came to the white woman, Jody Barrett said, oh no, we'll go ahead and let her stay. Okay. Now let's go to Representative Justin Pearson. He is out of the Memphis area. Now, 69 voted to expel him, all Republicans. Now, Jody Barrett, the same guy who voted to expel Justin Johnson, voted to expel Justin Pearson, but voted to keep Gloria Johnson. That's just down racial lines right there. Okay. So those are all the people who voted to expel Justin Pearson. And these are the people who voted to not expel Justin Pearson. Republican Representative Charlie Baum of Murfreesboro, which is outside of Nashville, consistently voted against his Republican Party and with the Democrats to not expel anyone. And so I don't know what kind of politics Charlie Baum practices, but I give him credit for standing up for what was like, this is ridiculous for you to try to expel people from their position because they were passionate enough to come forth and say, we need to make a change. And so I wanted to point that out. And I also wanted you to see this person. Where is he? I want you to see General Assemblyman Jody Barrett. This is the guy who clearly voted along racial lines and made the difference in Gloria Johnson not getting expelled. So let's bring up Jody Barrett so you can see this dude. And if you know anybody who lives in Jody Barrett's district, be sure the next time Jody Barrett comes to town that you ask Jody Barrett about that. So Jody Barrett is from District 69 and Dixon. I'm not sure where Dixon is, but let's look at Jody Barrett. Okay, Jody is an attorney. Jody also says he's a Baptist. I'm wondering why all these people got the nerve to put their church affiliation, their religious affiliations, like they are so above doing bad stuff when they are the most crooked people most of the time in the world. Okay. And so this is Jody Barrett. And then Jody was the one who voted, who made the difference in between whether Representative Gloria Johnson was to stay or to go. And when it came down to it, Jody Barrett voted along racial lines. Okay. And so if you want to contact Jody Barrett, that's his phone number and his information. And he's also on Twitter and Facebook. So let's let Jody Barrett know how we feel about what he did. And then that way, we know how they feel. Now we need to let them know how we feel. If you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. Now, the bottom line is that these people don't care about children getting shot up. And that's another thing. Jody has kids. Andrew Farmer, the guy who drafted the vote to expel the 3 Democrats, they have kids. He has kids. These people have kids, yet they don't care nothing about kids getting shot up at school. That just makes no sense. They don't care to make people who want to own weapons be held more accountable. And if you happen to be somebody who cares about that, then they don't give a damn about you either. Okay. And so I wonder if that would be a question for Jody Barrett and Andrew Farmer. How would you feel if somebody came into your child's school and started shooting? Would that make the difference in whether or not you would feel as if there needs to be stronger gun legislation? I wonder if that would make the difference. I don't know. Maybe they don't like their kids. Maybe they don't like nobody's kids. But at any rate, you represent people who have children and in your district. So it seems to me that the decisions that they would be making would be to protect, and it would be to serve the people in their community that they were sent to Nashville to represent. Okay. Now, if you live in Tennessee, or you know somebody who lives in the district of these representatives who purged or voted to purge the Black people and not the white woman, if you're all right with that, then you're a part of the problem. So don't make excuses for what they did. There is no excuse for it. Okay. Now, these Republican legislators have threatened to withhold state funds from Memphis for future projects because here's what's happened. Vice President Kamala Harris has shown up in Nashville. You've got the president, Joe Biden, for what it's worth, backing they're calling them the Tennessee 2. backing the representative, saying what was done to them is an injustice and a miscarriage of what should have been done. And so a lot of people are speaking out. And so now the city council in Nashville is saying we're going to vote to reinstate them. And so these Republican legislators are saying, well, if you do that, then we're going to withhold money for future projects that might have been going to Memphis or might have been going to Nashville. So now they're going to play tit for tat, this back and forth. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with kids in men's bodies, basically. Children, immature individuals in grown ass bodies. That's what we're dealing with. And so it's just a shame that you think that you have somebody who's gonna go to represent you and your causes and your children's future, and then they get up there and they ain't no better than the damn crooked on the side of the street. And so that's what we're dealing with. That's why you have to stay involved, whether it's local, whether it's your school board, whether it's your city council, whether it's your state representative, and whether it's your national, federal, congressional representative. You have to stay involved because your tax dollars say that they should be there on behalf of you and yours. And if they're not doing what you want them to do, then you need to make a change. So don't let this pass. Don't forget what these people have done. And if you know anyone in from the area where they live, y'all go on and do your own, coordinate your own protests at their homes. Coordinate some type of activity where these people lay their heads. Don't let them think that they can go up to Nashville and act a fool and show their horns and then think they can go back home and nothing is going to be done. And by all means, when they come up for re-election, let them know you haven't forgotten what they did, and vote with your feet and get them out of there. And I keep covering up my Band-Aid. I have Band-Aids on my shoulders. Don't worry about why. So to find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to the written version of my journal, and that's at eurweb.com. Thanks and have a super day.